welcome to 60 Minutes with Mr. K right here on News Central TV. I'm your host, Kayode Akintemi, and today is a very interesting day for us. In the language of security, every nation's survival depends on its ability to maintain situational awareness, safeguard its territorial integrity, and deploy the right force multipliers to neutralize threats before they escalate. Today, we navigate the complex battle space of Nigeria's security architecture, where the lines between external aggression and internal sabotage are often blurred. Our conversation goes beyond the statistics and sound bites. It seeks to decode strategies, scrutinize decisions, and shed light on the silent battles fought daily to protect Nigeria and her people. My guest is the man at the very center of this national defense mission, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, a battle-tested officer with decades of military experience. General Musa has served in some of Nigeria's toughest operational theaters. As the nation's #1 military strategist, he coordinates the Army, the Navy, and of course the Air Force, ensuring joint operations in tackling terrorism, banditry, and emerging hybrid threats. Recently, at the African Defense Chiefs Summit in Abuja, he declared that enemy is within, signaling a renewed resolve to confront both external insurgents and internal collaborators. Under his leadership, Nigeria's armed forces are rethinking border management, expanding regional security cooperation, and exploring technology like artificial intelligence in counter-terrorism. Today, he joins me for a candid conversation on the state of security in Nigeria, Africa's fight against extremism, and what the future holds. General Christopher Gwabin Musa, thank you so much for being ready to have a conversation with me today. Well, General Musa, at the recent Africa Defense Summit, you stressed very carefully and you made it very clear that border management is key to curbing terrorism and banditry. You also mentioned that the borders of Nigeria is very porous. So help us understand what practical steps can be taken to sort out the border. But while you're thinking about your response to this, I want to situate it along the lines of what just happened recently with the African Chief of Defense Staff that have all come. How will the collaboration that comes out of that affect this issue of border porousness?
Thank you very much. Well, as we know, contemporary challenges have to do with movement. Great movement of criminals across the continent. So as long as they have freedom to move, to conduct their acts, it becomes difficult. And that's why borders are very critical. Now, if we look at the issue of the summit we just concluded, the importance of collaboration. Now, these guys live from point A to point B. Now, if we're able to freeze their movement from all these points, then which means it makes it impossible for them to move. It is the freedom that they get to move these items from one place to another that actually, boosts them in what they are doing. And that's why it's critical for us to get to understand ourselves that as Africans, our challenges are one and the same, and that we need to collaborate together. Because the tendency is to say, no, they're not coming to my place, so what the hell, why should I bother? But from what we have seen, when Boko Haram started in Nigeria, we wanted to bring our neighbors in. They felt it was not their business until when they turned against them. And so it's always like that. So being proactive is very critical. So that for countries that have not started, they should never allow asymmetrical insurgency to come in, because it's a very difficult operation to eradicate, because mostly you are dealing with ideology, and ideology is somebody's mind. You can't read it on his forehead. So I think if working together as a team, which we have all realized and have agreed, that it's very important that we're able to synergize our efforts together to make it difficult. So if you see somebody coming from somewhere bringing some things that you alert the next country so that they prepare. And that preparation makes you being proactive. And I think that's very critical.
So let me try and understand. I sat in some of the plenary sessions and I listened to the experts and those who understand the issues and have the solutions that they were bringing to the table. Some of the things they said is that rather than worry about porous borders, we should think more along the lines of the kind of collaboration that means that the entire African continent is actually borderless, rather than having borders that you're trying to
demonstrate. It depends on the capacity. Okay, like with the level of advancement in Europe, borders don't really mean much, even though some of them still have fences erected to prevent their borders, to tell you how serious border management is. But you travel across Europe with one Schengen visa, you can travel around Europe because the level of awareness, the level of expertise, the level of technology is extremely very high. I mean, you go there, you commit a crime, the tendency is you'll be caught. Here, we don't have that. The level of illiteracy here, the level of lack of understanding of what's going on is really very high. And so that's why it's critical for us to be able to, first and foremost, charity begins at home. Put your house in order. If every country is able to stabilize its own country, then it makes it a lot easier working together as a team. Because as long as one is not doing it, you give them the gaps for them to use against the others. And that's why it's important for us, border management. And apart from even the physical tendency of the borders, we talk of having database for each country. All the African francophone countries around us have databases where you commit an offense. It's easier to track your address, your name, your face to crime. They can always attach your face to the crime. We're still struggling with that because our data management is still in process. You find out that you have the immigration having a different data, the police having different. It's something we can match together. And the comprehensive census, for me, I think is vital. If we're able to create that, you'll be able to know who are Nigerians. And anybody who comes in, you can track him from where he is and where he's going to. And I think that will assist us a lot.
You mentioned the word census. What is the National Security Advisor through the offices of the Chief of Defense Staff, the Nigerian Army, and other security agencies? Are they putting enough pressure on the government?
And it's supposed to be after every decade, 10 years. But now we're in
2025, almost 26. That's 20 years, 2 decades.
I'm glad the Mr. President has inaugurated a committee on that aspect. And I think last time I was in Maiduguri, I had a meeting with the chairman of the Population Commission, and they've done so much on it. They just needed a few time period to enumerate humans. And I think that's what we should go. That's the way forward for it. We'll be able to capture with technology. We can capture every Nigerian in the world. We'll be able to know how many schools in which area, in which community, where do they need more schools, where do they need more hospitals, it helps you in planning. And then for crime, be able to track. If a vehicle is stolen, you know you'll be able to track the vehicle. You'll be able to follow up. If you have a thumbprint and offense is committed. So many things there's a positive. It will also aid the security agencies to do their job. And so those are the things we try to encourage.
Okay, that's very good. It's good you mentioned that, but that takes me to the point where I'm wondering, as still part of the conversation that was had during some of the plenary sessions, I look around the room and I found so many chiefs of defense staff from different countries, from the north to the west to the south of Africa. And I'm wondering, the collaboration at your level with all of these chiefs, how does it trickle down to ensure that when it comes to intelligence sharing, it does not become a case of, our chiefs are aware, the chief of army staff is aware, but the man who is the foot soldier is not ready to share information with Ghana or Togo.
Especially I speak for Nigeria. That's one thing we've tried to, since we came on board, we've tried to synergize all our efforts. Our operations are together, all the services, including other security agencies, and then our intelligence network, working together again with the NSA. The office of the NSA have been doing so much in rallying them around together. So now our information sharing procedure is really very good, enhanced. We're going to continue to intensify on that. Again, now, this is an opportunity that we have met with the African Chiefs of Defense Staff. Now, we also want to collaborate with most of the other all the other intelligence networks. So we're going to have a committee for the intelligence, a committee for the operations, and a committee all under the Committee of the African Chiefs of Defense Staff, all working together.
So this is part of the outcome
part of the outcome, and then working under African Union. And so it can make it very holistic. You know, a few countries didn't attend, so it will be an opportunity for them to also see what they have missed, because this was a very, very great opportunity for us to see, understand each other, and be able to know our challenges and be able to provide solutions towards them.
Okay. Another point you just made that I have to go on about is the issue of those that did not attend. When you look at what just happened recently, I can't remember the name of the community in Mali. There was an insurgency. Several people were killed. Meanwhile, Mali did not show up in this conference, and Burkina Faso did not show up as well. Their silence and their absence, what does it mean? What does it connote for the collaboration within the western part of Africa?
Yeah, with them not being here physically, I think, apart from them not being here, we actually have been really working with them together. Maybe, you know, in Mali, just last week, they had issues with coup. Burkina Faso is having a serious challenge with insurgency. So those are the things but I'm glad Niger is here. So Niger is also represented, all of them. And whatever it is that we have discussed, we get across. And besides that, they still have their embassies here. We still relate quite very well. Operationally, we still conduct operations together. And then again, in our schools and our military institutions here, we still have Malians, we have people from Burkina Faso, we have people from Niger working together. So it's not as if totally because they are not here and then we're not. No, we're doing much, because as military men, as professionals, we know the importance of working together, because we share ideas. We know we're facing the same kind of threat, and it is by working together that we'll be able to defeat them together.
Okay. So during the conference as well, still talking about the African CDS summit, you said there are enemies within, and from all of the work of News Central, we've traveled different parts of the country, in Katsina, in Kaduna, and we've seen the kind of things that's going on. And we remember very vividly that during the era of President Jonathan, he said that there are enemies within, even in his own government, that there are people who are supporting the insurgency and the criminality that is going on. So when you were referring to the enemies within, what was the meaning of those words for you? What does it carry?
You know, unlike conventional warfare, where you are fighting probably one state between the state and the state. So you know the enemy is that state, trying to take over this state. Now, the enemy is within, because your friend could be the same person that is dealing with them, could be the same person sponsoring them, could be the same person giving them information. If you notice, most of the arrests we have made of people conveying ammunition, conveying weapons and all these things are all from the communities. Most of them are into it. For some of them feel it is just trading. They're trying to make business. Some of them, for whatever reasons, they feel obliged to also support those terrorist groups. And without their support, it will have been extremely difficult for them to continue. And from within is because, again, they don't wear it. You know, there's no mark on their face to say, I'm a terrorist, or I'm an insurgent, or I'm a bandit. So that's what part of the thing that makes it extremely difficult, because you can't go to a place and say you're arresting everybody. You know, you have to painstakingly be able to make sure, because of the legal systems of it, that the person is involved. I can tell you, at times we want to go with an aircraft, we want to carry out the strike, but because they are within civilians, we abort the strike. So these are the issues that are prolonging this war. People from within giving them support, selling weapons to them, selling ammunition, selling fuel, giving them food. These are the people that we're saying that are also part. So anybody who is dealing with them and supporting them is part of the problem, and most are from within.
So there is the side where you talk about the civilians, the ordinary citizens of the country, looking for a way for survival and to create a deterrence for these criminals called bandits, stopping them from being able to attack. So they welcome them. Our reporters in Katsina, Kaduna, and a few other states in the Northeast, they reported that people welcome them because they're afraid for their lives. What is it that the army and the government can do to make sure that these people are not feeling more at ease with the bandits and the criminals than they are with our own military men?
That's why programs like this are very important. You know, we tend to, by these discussions, we try to get across to everyone in Nigeria, a community, to know that everybody has a role to play. I mean, When I was in Maiduguri, part of the issues where we had some successes then was we were able to deny them. We discussed with the citizens. We made them understand that you see something, report as quickly as possible. Don't keep quiet. Don't because of fear, you refuse to take action. And action doesn't mean going to confront them. Action means maybe going somewhere, getting a call, sending a message across, look, these guys are here, these people are here, and then you refuse to support them. And then you'll be able to identify those ones that are within the community, because sometimes there's this conspiracy of silence. You know somebody is doing something, you know the person, you can see somebody that you know that is not doing any legitimate work. You see him the next day, he has bought a brand new vehicle, and nobody is asking questions. We should be able to follow, and those are what aspects that communities should be able to look at. You see somebody, he always operates only at night. In daytime, you don't see him. Only at night, he goes out, comes back, funny time when they're carrying heavy bags and all these things. In Maiduguri, we're able to do that, such that in markets, motor parks, even commercial drivers, they see you with a heavy bag, they find out what are you carrying. That has assisted us in identifying who are those ones conveying drugs. We arrested people conveying weapons, ammunition, and all sorts of illegal items. So that's why we say it's important for every member of the community to know he has a role to play in this aspect of security, so that we can, because the enemy lives with us. And like it is said, the terrorists survive within the community. So the citizens are like the fluid with which the terrorists operate. If the fluid are supporting them, they will flow well. If they are not, it will be impossible for them.
Okay, before we wrap up this segment of the conversation, we're just about to come to the end of this segment, but let me ask you then, in terms of intelligence gathering, information is key. What strategies does the military deploy to make sure that they have that information that is required to turn into knowledge and eventually intelligence?
Again, millions of such as this information to the people for them to know that they have a role to play. Again, we use a lot of technology now. We deploy a lot of technology in order to find out what's going on, to be able to see where they are and be able to react. One of the challenges we're having is most of the areas, especially in the north, not everywhere you have network. So even sometimes when they see these things, to report becomes a problem. By the time the information gets to you, it comes in quite very late, hours later, when the deed has already been done. And by the time you react, they've already gone. The issues we're having again is this issue of the IEDs, which is not too pronounced in the Northwest. When the Southeast and Northeast is really, that is where we take the heaviest of casualties. Some areas they've applied in the Southeast, a few areas in the Northwest. But we're glad that at least we're getting over those things. And again, now it's for us to also start, as we're working towards this, we should start addressing what are these in causing these guys to behave, some of them like this. Again, like we said, the illiteracy. It's easier for somebody to come in and give you a warped idea that he's fighting for God. He wants you to be with him. If you die, you're going to heaven. If you kill somebody, you're going to get blessings. All wrong. You know, so those are the things that we do. And that's why we get across the really religious leaders that will come on air and preach the truth, because they have a way of skewing those things up and then deceiving other people to join them up. And those are the issues we're doing.
So where we're at now, we'll take a short break here. When we return, we'll dig deeper into the domestic realities of insecurity in Nigeria, the deadly attacks and the communal problems that people have experienced. We'll look at some of them when we come back from the break. Just stay with us.
The emotions are high, people are angry, people are in tears. I notice.
All around me, there are people, many of them trying to salvage whatever they can salvage.
Is Ismaila Mohammed, who was shot by one of the officers of the Nigerian army. This is the hole where the bullet penetrated, and that's the second hole.
Right behind me are members of the Nigerian police force to alert the protesters that they've gone past their time.
They came out with reinforcement, basically. All right, at the moment, do roll on now.
welcome back. We're still here with General Gwabin Musa, who is the Chief of Defense Staff, and we're talking about the issues of insecurity in Nigeria and looking at collaboration across all parts of the continent. And then, of course, we're looking at issues of technology as well. So, General Musa, good to still have you here. Over the past weeks, we've seen devastating attacks on some Christian villages, in mosques, and across farming communities. Amnesty International estimates nearly 7,000 deaths in 2 years in the Middle Belt alone. How do you respond to criticism that the armed forces are overstretched and reactive rather than proactive?
I think we're doing the best we can. And again, Amnesty International, over time, I really don't have so much confidence in them because they've shown us clearly that they're not part of progress. Why I'm saying this is anytime we're succeeding, that's when they come out with negative news. About the numbers, I don't fault the numbers. I don't know how they got their numbers from. I know people were killed because insurgency has now, if you notice, mostly, not most of the attacks, mostly now we have issues of kidnapping. And why is that? It's a social issue. Families are broken down. I mean, in those days, you don't understand, you don't see situations where a family member will kidnap his brother or his sister because he wants to make money. You see a child kidnapping his father because he wants to make money. I mean, those are things that were very strange. So it is probably the period we're in now because of social issues. Families are broken down, so there is no more respect for life. And people think when you make money, then everything is sorted out. And that's why it's important for us to continue to look at our legal system. How do we punish crime and criminality? Because once people are seen to be punished, it acts as deterrence. But once people think they can get away with it, then there's a problem. So you see, the military can do so much. But again, like we said, the non-kinetic effort has to do with a lot.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when it comes to this non-kinetic effort and the fact that the word impunity has been in existence in a very big way in Nigeria, why do we find it so difficult to be able to identify 10 bandits were caught, they've been to court, they've been sentenced to 10 years, 20 years, 30 years imprisonment? We're not hearing any such thing.
The issue, they bring issues of technical issues. Said the exhibit is not correct, this is not that. But you know the guy did it. And for on most occasions, the guys, they don't tell you, they will confess that they were the ones that did it.
Did with the evidence gathering by the military or the police?
They will tell you when he confessed, there was no lawyer there because they said that was a legal requirement. But I'm dealing with somebody kilometers in the bush. Where will I get a lawyer to follow him there to confirm what he's saying? So you see, we must sit down. You see, in the Middle East, check their counter-terrorism laws. If you dare enter into those things, nobody will save you. You must be able to prove yourself beyond reasonable doubt. So it makes it extremely difficult for us. And you know, like again, for us, even the troops, it's very discouraging. A soldier risks his life, goes through whatever it takes to go and make an arrest, brings the person in, gives him, and then they give him bail. They say the case is bailable. And the guy goes back and is laughing at you. Now he knows who you are, knows your family member. He can easily go behind and go attack. You think tomorrow the soldier wants to sacrifice his that? It makes it difficult. And the South, the same issue. We make arrests. You go, they tell you where was the place, where are the exhibits, is an oil well. I can't carry an oil well to move away with it. So you see, we need to make these laws very stringent so that if you are caught, you are dealt with.
So what is the effort of the military to align with the National Assembly and let them understand that the laws have to be changed to enable us make this country more secure?
We're discussing with them. We have put in these issues and we have appealed that we should even have maybe even mobile court, because we need, you see, once an offense is committed, if you allow it to stay for a very long, it loses the steam. This thing should be as quickly as possible. An offense is committed as quickly as it is, the person is punished, and everybody sees it. That serves as deterrence. Example of somebody like Evans with kidnapping issue, with all the facts, the case is still pending. What's going on? So you see, it makes it extreme, and we cannot prosecute. So when we hand over, and then we have done our own deal. Whatever happens there, we don't have a say. But I think it's important that we look at these laws and make them as stringent as possible. Once you are end-to-end of these things, I mean, we just and forget about you there so that we can deal with the other ones there.
So what do you say about the people who make allegations that even in the military there are bad eggs who are found?
Nowhere is 100%. I will be stupid to say that we're 100% pure. But again, where do we recruit from? It's from the society. So we get from the society, and then the good and the bad and the ugly. But what is good for us is we identify them. And once we identify them, we take action. In all my operations all over the country, we have standing court martials. You commit an offense, we investigate, we take our time, we investigate, and then you face court martial. And I can tell you, we have jailed so many people have been dismissed, and all this. So we do not hide anybody who has committed any offense, and that is for real.
Okay, so recently you suggested that every Nigerian should learn combat skills, comparing it to swimming and driving. And some people were applauding it. They said, fantastic. That's a very brilliant idea. And they need to see centers and training organizations or training by paramilitary agencies that will train people. But others think that this is just down to the failure of military architecture and the policing.
Thank you for that question. Because when I saw it, you could see one set of people applauding, another set kicking against it. And again, this is the misunderstanding. And that's why sometimes ignorance is a bit difficult. You go abroad, if your child doesn't know how to swim, you, the parents, will go to jail. Why do they do that? They know the relevance and importance. And for every human being, self-preservation is number one. Your ability to stay alive. So what does it mean? Take actions that will make sure that you are secured. I mean, that you are a civilian does not mean you cannot protect yourself. I mean, anybody coming, it will just come in. Protecting yourself means in your house, you must make sure your doors have locks, maybe fence, things to protect you. And for your own, it's always good. And, growing up, we used to have these issues. You see, they're teaching us on armed combat, so that at least on one-on-one, you should be able to do one or two things. You should know what action to do when you are confronted by.
I know how to do karate and do kickboxing and all that, and somebody comes with gun. How do I protect myself? Would it not be better to say Nigerians should be able to carry guns?
Well, no, carrying guns again. I think that's the extreme. Even on armed combat, I'm sure if you look at some of them when they do, they tell you how to do some things to disarm people. And it's not even all the guns that are even serviceable. Some of them come with dot guns. We have seen situations where they carry wooden guns looking like this thing that look like guns, and then people just give up. Even when they realize, because the action of fear. I know fear is very dangerous. If you do not know what to do when something happens, even if the person is coming to slap you, you will follow him. But Nigerians must know that self-protection is very important. You don't need to carry arms to protect yourself. But it's important to know that when you avoid going to unnecessary places, watch out the kind of crowd you watch, the way you even behave as a human being. Those are all actions that you need to take to protect yourself first. Security forces will come be everywhere. What is our number?
So what do we do to people in the areas where it's called the theater of operation, where the fight is rife and it's ugly? The Middle Belt, for example, we have done town hall in Benue State. We have done town hall for the Middle Belt in Plateau State. We have seen people whose hands were chopped off. We've seen children whose body were charred because they were burnt alive. We've seen all kinds of things in those places.
I've been to
what
Benue,
do we do?
I've been to Benue, I've been to Plateau State, and I'll tell you two things. Benue, like I said, if we can stop animals from moving and stop people from rustling cows, 60-70% of the challenges will be dealt with.
So how do we stop animals from moving?
Ranching.
Is there a political will to do it?
That is where the issue comes in now. These are the issues that we need to take concrete steps. I mean, when humanity started, everybody was carrying animals up and down. But when we realized that, look, it's best you keep them one place. Health-wise, they'll be okay. Money-wise, because you sell, you make more money. Our cows, I can speak for you that our local cows traveling about, they can't give you 1 liter of milk a day. If you ranch them, you can get as much as 50 liters a day. So, which is best? To be able to keep them in one place, develop an area for them, or even if you don't want to ranch them per se, get a general area where you can grow grass for them so that they'll be able to stay having not, because for a farmer, once his crops are gone, he has lost everything. And we still use red-fed agric here, which means if you lose this year, you have to wait till next year. Most people, farmers, this is what they depend on. So that's why it's important that we stop. Because a farmer, once you destroy his farm, you've killed him for the year.
So if you know this fact and you are saying it pointedly on national and international television, is it that the people in government don't understand the importance of this? Because your men are the one whose lives are put at risk.
Yes, that's
is it that they don't know the implication?
We keep on talking about it, and I'm sure a few of them have started doing it. We need more to be done. I mean, I was in Lagos State just last month where they did the agric buybacks, and which is, I think, we want to encourage for other states. We must develop agric, and when we do that, we now engage people, and once people are engaged, they will not have time to go into crime and criminality. We must educate our population. We must prepare them so that they don't allow anybody to just come and deceive them into joining them for whatever reason, because these are all areas that make crime and criminality open. And then we must safeguard our borders so that anybody coming to Nigeria is known, anybody going out is known, because through these borders we have these drugs coming in, small small arms, light weapons, human migration, and all these things coming in and out. So those are the critical aspects we need to look at.
Number of Nigerians, especially some of the analysts who understand military strategy, when we had conversation during the electioneering campaign in 2 years ago, 2023, some of them said that what the president, now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said was fantastic. He said at that time that a lot of young Nigerians will be given an opportunity to join the military, that whatever they need to eat will not be a problem, but they will join the military. But why has the number not grown over the last 2 years?
It's growing. Yearly, you see, the thing about our training is that it has to be deliberate. We cannot rush, because a half-trained military man is more dangerous than the terrorist. Because in his ignorance, he can go and blow up a whole place with the ammunition he's carrying. So we need to take time. So it takes time to train. The army has just established a second depot where we train recruits somewhere in the southwest. So that will take a number. So that will increase the number that we're doing. We want to make sure that anybody that we recruit and is out can be able to perform his duty very well. So it takes a little while to be able to build up that capacity, and that's what we are working towards. And sometimes it looks low, but it is the armed forces that are still recruiting as I speak, because on yearly this we do so much.
What's the number that, if you have the number to hand, what's the number of recruits now as compared to 3, 4, 5 years ago? Have you bumped it up a little bit?
Yes, we used to do about 15,000 yearly. Now I'm sure with the new depot that is coming in, we should be approaching 25,000, all the services together. And then recently the police too is coming, immigration, custom, and all the other ones are also coming in. So it will add up to the number, because we're all working as a team. That's why we have the joint task force. The joint task force has the components of the armed forces, the civil defense, the police, and everybody being part of it. So that's how we work.
Like Nigeria Defense Academy, is there an expansion? Is there a way to say that increase the number of intakes?
We have different commissions that we do. We have the regular commission, which is the highest. Then we have the short service. We have the direct regular, which we do intermittently. Those ones go for 6 months training, 9 months training, and then we'll bring them back into the officers' corps. We take from within. So that also increases the manpower that we have on ground. So those things are working for all the 3 services.
There's some amount of worry about the quality of training that our officers are receiving. In terms of the analysis that some experts have given, they said the Nigerian police is probably the worst in terms of training their cadets. Now, the military is said to be a little bit more advanced, but how do you rate the quality of the training of your men?
That's one thing I give it to the armed forces. We have refused to lower our standards. We keep our standards very high because we're always watching. You know, for the military, why the military I think is different is that even our retired very senior officers have some influence on how we do our training, because if they see your quality is not good, they talk to you, and nobody wants to fail. I wouldn't want to bring on unqualified personnel into the service and to say that it was during my tour of duty that I brought these guys in. So no, we maintain the standard, and that's why we have exams, we have courses for you to get promoted. Like I always told people, since I got to ND in 1986, I had written exams for every promotion I sat for until I made Major General. And when I made Major General, I attend courses, seminars, workshops, and all those things, just to keep you abreast. And that's what goes for our private soldiers. Before a private soldier is promoted from private to lance corporal, he has a number of courses he must attain. He must have spent about 5 years within the rank, attended those courses. And the next round, when he gets the last corporal before he becomes a corporal, it takes him 5 years. He must have attended more courses. So we have these checks. And if you don't, we have an age limit to your rank. If you are there below this rank, you have to leave. If you are not promoted for 3 attempts, you have to leave. If you fail exam 3 times. So we have this is what is going on. And that's why I see the armed forces tries to do the best we can. Issues of something like misfired round. We don't have those issues in the armed forces, because once you do that, we ask you at one instant, was it a mistake? Because you must have a rifle, you must have a magazine, you must have ammo, you must have charged your magazine, you must have mounted it, you must have opened your safety catch, you must have cocked and the firing. At what instance was it a mistake?
So how many firing range do we have?
No, we have all over. We have them all over. So every training we conduct, there's always a range. And then before we even deploy them out, we take them for live firing so that let them have
them indoors or outdoor firing ranges?
No, we have simulators indoors, and then we have outdoors where you go for the physical ones, where you do the. And then yearly we have range classifications for everybody. Every member of the armed forces must go and classify, because it enters your record for the year. We have this personal evaluation report that is written about on everybody, every officer and every soldier. So those things count. And when during your promotion, those things will come and count. What range, what scores did you make, and all these things.
Now, Christopher Musa, thank you very much. I'll take a short break again so that we go into the final conversation. When we come back from this break, we'll talk about insecurity and politics, especially as we're looking at 2027, and there are concerns that things will become a little bit more heated, or possibly much more heated because of politics. Just stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. This is 60 Minutes with Mr. K, and we're right here on News Central having conversation with the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabin Musa. Great to have you still here. So let's move on very quickly and talk about 2027. A number of people said, in fact, let me start with what the Nigeria's National Security Advisor recently, he argued that hunger and poverty are fueling insecurity. From your perspective, to what extent are socioeconomic issues driving insurgency and banditry compared to ideological or religious war? The ideological and religious war is the one that they say is difficult to fight against. But where is the issue of hunger?
Definitely. I mean, the hungry man is an angry man. And so it's easier. If we tell somebody to stay peaceful, yes, but he's hungry. And so that's why it's very, very important that at the state and local government levels, very critical. We always look at that, the aspect that we must make our local governments work. Crime and criminality is local. If you have a state with 20 local governments, with 20 local government chairmen, each local government chairman will be able to deal with his own local issues, not to allow them come together. But you see, if the local government are not working, which means the 20 local government, the 20 problems will be coming to who? The governor or to the federal. And that makes it very, very difficult to deal with. So that's why we must make our local governments able to be working. And then, especially the state government will be able to assist the citizens in their states to ensure that we bring, we develop systems, models that will make sure that there is food, that things are working well and getting down dividends of democracy to the people. That will help a lot. If you have that, when we travel all through the areas where we're conducting operations, you go to communities, there is no water, no electricity, no hospital, no school, absence of governance. And it is local. And that is why we must encourage local. We make efforts at making it look as if it's a federal thing. No. The federal is doing the best they can. The states and the local, that is where the development really takes place. So we must put a lot of emphasis on ensuring that our local governments are working very well. And I can bet you, if our local governments are up and running, these issues will really, really go down, because the local government there will be there to nip those things in the bud.
Okay, so some people are quoting you as having said that when it comes to the issue of surge in killings and insecurity and linking it up to the political maneuvers for 2027, what were you trying to say there, and what should politicians begin to hear to stop them?
Over time in Nigeria, it's always known that once elections are coming, There's heightened tension. People feel that sometimes to make place ungovernable makes them popular, or makes the government in power unpopular. So people want to, instead of them to look at aspect of saying, okay, look, I'm presenting myself to run because I want to do A, B, C, D, and I can do this, I can do that. Those are the areas we're looking at. Why is it that anytime there's going to be an election, there will be crisis? Why is it that there should be tension? It shouldn't be. It's not a do or die. I think that's one aspect we need to remove. That aspect of do or die thing, that if I'm in, I mean, if I lose, I lose, and that's all. Then, which means I don't want to lose because I cannot wait next 4 years. If you go for an election and you don't make it, wait. There's another opportunity in 4 years. You don't have to kill anybody. You don't have to make sure anybody is killed for whatever reason. How do you want to kill those you want to rule, or you want to rule those you want to kill? So those are the issues I think we need to look. And for our politicians, our appeal to them is, please take things easy. It's an intention to rule. Let the people decide. If they don't want you, maybe you go sit back and review what you are doing and get something better that will be palatable to the people. And then probably the next election, they'll pick you. Not to think that if you lose and you have lost everything. It's not. There's still life. We still have a country to run. And it's important that we make sure that once there is peace, there will be development in the country. And I think everybody wants Nigeria to develop.
So when it comes to the election, a lot of people said that the military is supposed to be for external aggression, except there are insurgency on the internal that is beyond the capacity of the civil police force and civil organization like NSCDC. So when we're looking at this, what would you be saying to politicians that seem to be up in arms, and how do you get them to understand that the military will take part in ensuring that we secure this nation against them?
You know, the rule of the civilian about the military not being present during the election used to be when it was a conventional warfare that used. Now, like I said, the enemy is from within. It is our ability to be proactive. I mean, if you notice the past elections I've taken, major elections I've taken, but there have not been any breakdown of law and order. What do we do differently? We make sure that perimeter-wise, we'll provide general security, while the police, who is the main force, will be with the politicians and doing all of those other aspects. And that's why you've not been hearing any serious issues during the election. The last election of 2023, if you remember, most of the points that I gave you, so people were begging for military men to come because law and order. But what we're saying is that we build the capacity of the police because it's their responsibility to do that. We are only going to support them from the outside. And sometimes we notice that when we are present, even from afar, it stops those criminals from coming to steal ballot boxes to come and do all they did and all those things. So we are trying to be proactive in what we are doing. We're not going to interfere with the action. INEC and the police are there. We are just giving them general support because, again, if we don't fail, if we stay in a barrack, something happens, the same people are going to come out and tell you that, where are the soldiers? And the blame is still going to come out. So what we are doing is that we're just providing a general security with the perimeter. We're not getting involved in what the day-to-day activities of the elections. And I think that's the role we keep playing now.
So before we wrap up, then let me ask this question. I know that there were some fantastic experts that contributed to the conversation at the plenary session during the African CDS Summit. And one of the things that they kept harping on is use of technology. Where is the Nigerian Army? Where is the Nigerian Navy and the Air Force?
So much. I'm sure you watched the exhibition. You have seen how we're using AI to do so much. Indigenous companies producing those things. We're now making our own drones. We have our attack drones. We have our surveillance drones. We have so many things we're doing. Even missiles, you saw the exhibition, the stand of the Nigerian Air Force. We're producing our own. So which means that we have to build those capacities because technology is everything now. That's what we're doing, using AI for analysis, using the drones for our surveillance issues and all this. So we'll continue to develop them. There are some other critical ones that we're also trying to build capacity. Now, I'm sure you saw this, the signing of the agreement for the AfriDex next year in Nigeria. At least we want to have an international setting instead of going every time to other countries. Let's have everybody come here because we are trying to develop our own indigenous defense industry. And I think that is the key way out. From our experience, 16 years still fighting insurgency, one of the reasons, again, that where it's been prolonged is because we don't produce what we need. Sometimes, even with your money, you can't get the items that you need to buy. So the frustration, also affects you. So what we're doing now is that Mr. President last year signed the DICOM bill, which has enabled us the ability to partner with original equipment manufacturers, buy some from them, then produce the rest in situ. We have started doing that. Now we can see, you saw what Porous brought, EPAL, and all these other companies, Imperium, they're all producing locally made APCs and MRAPs. That is the way out. Weapons were started gradually, ammunition too. And so it's a gradual thing. And I think that's the way out.
So where do you then find the budget? Would you be asking the National Assembly and the government to give a little more money?
The summit we just conducted, it was a PPP arrangement we had, partnership with others. We're able to have companies too that we provide security to, that were able to support us into this. And so I think if we're able to do that holistically, big companies will be able to come and assist us in funding. And we want the companies to come in like it's done abroad. You know, most of the companies producing this are civilian companies. Then you have, you know, people coming to rally. We have foundations that also assist the military and so those are all areas we're looking at. What we're getting for the federal, yes, is coming in, but cannot do everything. So we need to have the support of good willing Nigerians to come and support the armed forces in order for us to be able to develop on our capacities.
The most interesting presentation was by Professor Fadel Kabub, who was talking about the fact that when you're expecting foreign companies to come in and help, they're not going to want to share the level of information that makes it possible for you to become independent.
Because the market is in Africa. If they're empowered in Africa, who will they sell to? So that's the run. So we have to develop. And for us in Nigeria, with a population of over 200 million, land mass of almost of 923,000 square kilometers, is massive. We cannot afford to rely on other people because, one, we need all those things. So if we produce from us, employment opportunities are there, we'll save our foreign exchange, we'll have enough equipment that we need, and then we'll be able to sell out to also our neighbors. So I think that's the win-win thing that we need to do.
One of his own emphasis was along the lines of, if we do not develop the economic power to make us able to leverage on that, then we will struggle to find the partners that work with us on a plain level.
It's true, but I mean, it's very true. But I think Nigeria is not doing badly because what we do is that you start small, then you scale up. That's what we're doing. And once the government sees that these things are working perfectly, they're working well, more people will come, more donors will come and support what we're doing.
If I were to believe everything that you have said regarding this issue of AI and drones and all that, why are we not seeing it being applied? Or is it that it's happening and we're not?
Happening, you will not know. There's a lot of things going on that is not in the public view. There's a lot of doing. We're taking out a lot of people that we don't come out to talk about.
So one of the things that we know in other climes in different countries around the world, when the military is going out and they're going to do raids, some CNN could be invited, some TV stations or media organizations are invited, and they see what happens. So the narrative when they come back is that our soldiers are the best in the world. They're doing amazing.
Yeah, we do that. We do that probably on quarterly basis. Not long ago, they went around the country. I'm sure the next one they will invite you so that you come and be part of it. We do that quite often. So embed them into the system, go around and see what's really happening on ground so that you can have direct contact with and see things clearly for yourself. That's what we try to encourage too.
When people talk about, especially Northeast, Northwest, and they look at a place like Maiduguri and they look at a place like Benue, and they say that an attack in Benue, in Yellowwater, for example, how many hours will it take to find those people? And why haven't we been able to say we've caught some of them?
Okay. Well, arrests were made. The police made some arrests. And again, from within, we had people from within the community that were also part of it. Now, what happened in Yellowwater was, again, the issue of cow rustling. A village rustled animals, took them to Yellowwater. And immediately they did that, the populace in Yellowwater felt that, look, these guys were going to come after them. They now relocated to Yellowwater. When the attack came, there was a prior attack that our troops moved in to go and counter the attack. Then the guys came in. We didn't know the actual place was Yellowwater. And when they came, they did not attack. They did not destroy everywhere. They only went to those locations where those villages that left where their cattle were rustled to. They were staying in the halls, in the stalls, in the market and motor park. That was where they attacked. It means somebody pointed those places to them. Who was the person? So that's why I'm telling you that the enemy is also from within. Because they have people from the communities that give them information as to who and who. Because if you go to Yellowwater, most of the buildings are standing. Only the buildings that those guys came in and were sleeping were the ones that were attacked. And so those areas and those are vast areas too. So that's why I've told you that if we're able to stop animals from moving, rustling of animals, 70% of the problems will be sorted out.
So when people say that an eye for an eye will mean that the entire nation will be blind.
Yes.
Now, when you have situations where some people say that the animals were rustled, how do you compare the life of a cow to the lives of 3, 4 children and 5 people?
That is the irony of life, and that's where education comes in. The Fulani man favors his cow than a human being. That's the mentality. He doesn't have land. He doesn't have everything. He thinks is his cow. So to him, when you kill his cow, it's like you've killed him. And in his own kind of ideas, he thinks taking revenge on humans. And that's why those are the issues we're saying. Now, what happens? We have a lot of youths from the native. Both the Fulani have criminals that are youths that are criminals. The natives have youths that are criminal. Now, what they do is that those guys work together. We have the natives that also have their headers. They have animals with the Fulanis. The native criminals, youths, will go and rustle their own fellow native cows and give it to the Fulani criminals. Those ones will go and sell. Or the Fulani criminals will go and rustle and give these ones to go and sell. So it is a business. That is what they are doing from within. And the issue is that, yes, once you do this, these guys are going to come to want to take revenge. Because, the Fulani man thinks once you take his eye, it's like you are killing him. He's coming. They will run away. When they run away, who gets killed? Women and children and elderly. So you see, it is, and then now bitterness has come into the issues. Now it has become a ting tong. And because we try as much, what they do normally is, once they see where here is defended, they look for any isolated village and just attack it. As a revenge. The idea is that they've killed somebody.
The final question on this particular issue is when some people say that, how come nobody is arresting the Fulani man that has cows but carries AK-47 and other heavy-duty guns and machinery? How come they're not arrested?
But if we arrest anybody with carrying any automatic weapon is arrested.
To carry gun, why are Fulani headsmen allowed to carry
for us,
gun?
like I said, any Fulani man or any other person that we see carrying automatic weapon is picked. We do that arrest.
But why do we still have quite a few of them?
Because it's easier. They're everywhere. We cannot be everywhere. That's just the truth. We cannot be everywhere.
So use of intelligence and drones.
And that's where communities too should be able to identify those areas and give those information. Where, how, where do they stay? Where's their stage? Because they must come from somewhere. They must come from somewhere. We have had situations where traditional rural religious leaders are also partnering with them. They will come and hide their weapons. Yes, we've arrested so many. Sometimes they bury the weapons, come out. And for us, if we don't see you with a weapon, you are just an ordinary civilian. So what they do is that now they come, bury the weapon, come out, and you check, and you don't see anything, and you leave. And they pick it up and do what they want to do.
Okay. My final question is the welfare of the military, welfare of the soldiers, the ground soldiers, the foot soldiers. How good is it now compared to what it used to be?
Since we came about 2 years, I think then a soldier was receiving about 49,000 monthly. Now that has been doubled. No soldier is receiving less than 100,000 now. It's still small, but at least it's better than where we were. And I know Mr. President is also working towards increasing that and increasing so many other things for us because they are doing so much. They are doing so much. And now you've never had any soldier complaining about no payment of salaries or his allowance is not denied. We follow up. Sometimes you see from the field, somebody will say maybe the food is not good. We find out what's really going. Sometimes, again, because of where they are deployed, to even get food is a bit difficult. So we have to find the way and manner to be able to make sure that they are well fed. But I think averagely it's not bad. There's a great improvement.
Better than it's ever been.
Yes.
This
Those ones in the Northeast, twice monthly, there are welfare flights. We bring aircraft, pick them up, drop them, they go and see their families. 2 weeks later, they are back. Just to make sure that we keep them going. They attend their courses, they get promoted, and so that has really doused a lot of issues on that we're not all well, but at least we're moving, we're in the right direction.
You know that a few years ago we used to get loads of viral videos.
Now we follow up on that.
Poor management of their
now
welfare.
we follow up on definitely. In fact, the soldiers know once there's any issue, they report directly, and nothing happens. Then it is investigated, and then action is taken. And the commanders also are aware that we're also monitoring what they're doing.
Well, thank you very much, General Christopher Musa. It's such a joy to have you. Your candor, your sincerity, and clear direction in terms of where you're taking our military to is quite good. We've seen the work that you've done, and in terms of collaborating with the rest of Africa, it's great news. So on that note, congratulations on a successful outing with the African Chiefs.
I appreciate your support.
Yes.
Too.
So it's a pleasure. So thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Kayode Akintemi. This is 60 Minutes with Mr. K here on News Central. Do stay with us, watch other programs, and we'll bring you another edition pretty soon.